Good morning, everyone. This is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers. And I'm here with you today to help answer any type of cloud computing career training questions and answers you may have. Maybe your goal is to become a cloud architect. Maybe your goal is to become a solution architect. Maybe your goal is to become a cloud engineer. Maybe your goal is to become an enterprise architect. But whatever your career goal is, I want to help you get that first cloud architect job, get that first enterprise architect job, solution architect job, cloud engineer job, because that's what I do. For those of you that don't know me, I've been working in tech now for over 25 years, most exclusively as an architect, but I've been helping people get their first tech job or get promoted in tech for more than 2 decades. And I want to help you get cloud hired or cloud promoted, because that's 100% what we're all about over here at Go Cloud Careers. So this is going to be a time where you can ask any questions you desire about how to build your cloud architect career, solution architect career, cloud engineer career, and we will help build you a roadmap. We'll ask questions about you and your goals and desires, and we will help you plot a course so you know exactly how to get cloud hired. A few free things that I'd like to tell you about in the beginning, and a few things that we can do to help really boost your career. First thing that I want to mention, we're running a completely free Azure Solutions Architect Expert Bootcamp. And it's going to be from June 14th to June 18th. It's completely free, and it's going to be a fun course. And it won't be, I promise you, boring PowerPoint slides with voiceover. We're going to have live training like you would in a real classroom. We'll talk for about 20 minutes. We'll do about 10 minutes of questions to make sure you're learning. And we'll do it all week long. So we want to make sure that you learn and understand how things work, not just the name of a service and how to configure them. So it's going to be lots of fun. And it's going to be free on June 14th to June 18th. So subscribe, take the free training, tell a friend, somebody that you want to help get cloud hired. Next Thursday, we have a completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. And on this first cloud webinar, and if you want to become a cloud engineer, we'll talk about that as well. We will tell you everything that you need to know to get hired. People come from all around the world. They always thank me afterwards because we give them such good insight. We tell them, how to leverage their life experience to show the hiring manager they've got some competency. We show people exactly what hiring managers desire, so you know exactly how to get hired. We go over the job exclusively so you understand it completely. We even tell you what you need to learn, the certifications that are going to help you get that interview, because certifications don't get people hired, but certifications do help people get interviews. And then we'll show you what you need to do to get hired and to go from that certified to hired, or from a different career to hired. Most people don't know I started out in internal medicine. And I've got students from all over the world, from all walks of life, and they're getting hired as cloud architects every single day, and I want to help you get hired too. We got 7 new students in a cloud architect job in the last week, and we're super excited about it. Well, that's since Friday, actually, I should say. That's super excited about it, and I want to help you too. So join us on the free webinar. Now, times are tough out there right now economically, and we're looking around out there. We're seeing inflation rates, which are somewhere between 6 and 10% at minimum, and it's making it really hard for people. And you know what? The best way to, when things get tough and things get more expensive, is to raise your salary, raise your capabilities. So we took our course our sale that we were going to run just for Memorial Day. We decided to extend it, and we're going to give you something special for the economy, 30% discount. We're going to use coupon code potential. I want to help maximize your potential. About 80 to 90% of our students get jobs between $100,000 and $300,000 US dollars per year. And if inflation is bad and it's hurting you, raise your income, raise your salary, raise your career. And guess what? If the economy gets bad and you have the best skills and the best attitude, leadership, sales skills, emotional intelligence, executive presence, guess what? Most likely, if there are layoffs in the future, you can still get hired and the others get laid off. And because you're there, if you're already working in your job, if you get these special skills, you'll move up and others are moving out. So take advantage of this special 30% discount we're using for the economy to help you build your potential. Coupon code is potential, to get you cloud hired. Build your potential and get cloud hired. Live up to your potential and get cloud hired. Live up to potential and love your career, love your life. I did it 25 years ago. I was practicing internal medicine, and I worked hard, but I liked it, but I worked hard. Went over to tech, and I don't think I've ever worked a day in my life. Now I'm living up to my potential, and I want everybody to live up to their potential, and that's what we're giving 30% off of all our training to help you get cloud hired or cloud promoted. If there's some questions, please feel free to bring them in right now. Otherwise, give me a hashtag cloud hired and tell me the geography you're in. Chow, good morning. How are you over there? I know you're in Dallas. Eddie over there in Cameroon, it's so good to see you. Alicia, and I don't want to mispronounce your name, good morning, and I'm so thankful to see you. What a beautiful baby you have with you. Moses, because it's good to see you this morning. I'm so happy to see you're here. Alonzo, my good friend, good morning. How are you? Right here, right now. Boy, that reminds me of a Van Halen song from high school. Right here, right now. Anyway, it was a great song. When does your next cloud architect training start? The second people sign up, our training starts. So, for example, several people signed up while I was sleeping. Today, they're going to be in our next class. So the way our training works is as follows right here, right now. It's completely self-paced, and we let you stay in our program until you're hired, because graduation to us is not some silly certification. Sure, we get your certifications, but graduation to us is a six-figure plus job, cloud hired. So the way we do it is as follows. We bring people in whenever they start. So the people that signed up while I was sleeping, or the people that signed up this morning, as soon as they sign up, they're going to have access to our training. And our training is comprised of 3 modules. There is a live component to our training, which is really fun. We get together on Zoom, and 3 times per week, we have live classes. We have two live classes per week that are focused on technology, and one of the classes per week is focused on leadership and interviewing and negotiation and all those other critical skills for the job, resume management, those kinds of things, interviewing. And actually, that's what we're doing today. At noon, we've got our leadership course today. So the people that signed up yesterday will be rolled into today's class or Tuesday's class, or whatever the first day they can attend the physical class will be, or the virtual class. Now, in between live classes, we've got hundreds of hours of videos and projects for you to do. So you'll do a project. You'll turn it in via Slack, and me and my team will give you feedback on it to make sure you're doing the work right and you're getting better, because we want to make sure you're great. Again, PowerPoint slides with voice is not training. It's nothing. It's garbage. But we need to make sure you're great, and we need to make sure you're hired. So the program is on your own pace. You'll do a project, turn it in, a project, turn it in, a project, turn it in, a project, turn it in. And there'll be a lab component to our program right here, right now, which is going to be really big and extensive. And of course, we'll do AWS labs. Everybody does. Of course, we'll do Azure labs. Everybody does. But we have our own labs. And we're going to give you a set of labs that's going to get you hired. Not only will you do the basic stuff, but you need to prove competency in network and data center technologies. So we're going to have you things like building, working with VMware to make sure you understand servers and server virtualization. You'll be working with containers and container orchestration. You're going to build it live in our data center, not a cloud. You're going to do it the hard way. You're going to be setting up file servers with NFS, file servers with server message block. You'll be setting up VPN concentrators and firewalls so you really can learn networking. And then when you're done that, you'll build a Linux, Apache, MySQL stack. You'll be building Active Directory servers. And then you're going to do our special stuff, which is you're going to design and build your own cloud from scratch. That's right, mate. You heard me. You'll design and build your own cloud from scratch. In the process of doing that, you'll be able to go on an interview and show competency. So I want you to think 2 people. I'm a little certified person. I don't know the business acumen, the leadership, the communication, the network data center, and I can't do the job. That's what it's like interviewing, 10x AWS certified people. And here's what it's like interviewing mine. I can design this. I can present this. I can sell this. Yeah, I could do these AWS labs, but anybody could do that, including a child. I've designed and built my own cloud. So what are the things employers want right here, right now? I'm going to tell you right now. They want the following: technical competency. Who's competent? Someone that can set up an S3 bucket, or someone who can design and build their own cloud. You don't even have to think about it. So then there's the next thing that we're talking about. Which person's willing to go above and beyond? The person that sets up like a little S3 bucket, like a child, or someone that builds their own cloud? It's not even in the same universe. Who's more competent? The person that built their own cloud, federated it with Active Directory, and then connected it to AWS, Azure, and Google for a hybrid multi-cloud environment, or someone that can set up an EC2 instance, which is 3 clicks on a mouse? So that's what we do, and we get our people hired, and more hired because we train all the skills. Now, I told you that we have live classes and people start at any time, and here's the reason why this works. See, I come from medicine and martial arts, and we do things differently in medicine. In medicine and martial arts, you always mix your experienced people together with your junior people at the same time, and here's the reason. If you run a class like they do normally in college, and everybody in the class is brand new and knows nothing, here's what happens when you work together on projects. Nobody knows anything. Now, in medicine and martial arts, it's a little different. So when people come to my live class today, let's say at noon, the people that signed up this morning will be in this class. I'm going to have some very senior people in the class, meaning they've been with me for 6 months and they're ready to get hired. And when I give an architecture to the class, they're going to mostly lead that discussion. Now, in that same class, they're going to be people there with me for about 6 weeks. They're going to know what to do to help the leaders lead the discussion. And the people that signed up today, they're going to be in there and just observe and learn. So 4 weeks later, my senior people are all cloud hired. Woohoo! And then my medium people are now the senior people, and they're working their way up to be cloud hired. And my new people are now junior people helping the senior people. And this way right here, right now, what we do is the following. We essentially mix everybody together. We create an alumni network that's second to none because we got people that all know each other. Somebody gets hired and they can bring a friend with them. But more importantly, when we do group projects or people get together, it's not like all newbies. It's some senior, mid, and new people, and they all work together. And it's going to be like the real corporate environment. And that's how you learn, and that's how you get better. So, these are why we train things differently. And that's why our people get cloud hired every day. We don't run batches. And we can't run batches right now, right here, for the following reason. If I ran batches, I'd have to say, you're in my program for 16 weeks, and then we're done with you. And that's what our competition does. Our competition charges $30,000 for a course. And then they run batches, they advertise, which makes their courses expensive. Then they stick everybody in the course. And at the end of the 16 weeks or 32 weeks, they're gone. Bye. And the people are stuck. In fact, I get people from these boot camps all the time to try and get them hired, and I retrain them and get them hired. But the point is we can't, it's not my belief that we should ever run something like a batch where you get in and get out in 16 weeks. I give my students the chance to stay in the program a full year or until they're hired. Because for us, there's only one outcome. There's really only one outcome of good training. It's got to improve your potential, and it's got to improve your career. And if we don't get you hired or paid more, it's not good training. And that's why we're focused on the outcomes of cloud hired, cloud promoted, and big increases in salaries. That's what we do because we want to make your life better, not just give you a paper certification. So you can start right now, today, immediately. Hi, Daniel. Good to see you. Cloud hired. Mr. Businessman, good morning. Alonzo, let's get cloud hired. I'm totally with you. Let's get everybody cloud hired. That's what we do. Hi from England. So nice to see you. Jacob P., you've suggested you focused on one cloud and one networking cert. That's not exactly what I said, and I'll tell you exactly what I said. When considering certifications, I wonder which matters, taking the CCNA, CCNP, or SAP. So, Jacob, what I said is determine what your goal career is. Determine what you want to do, and then find your certifications. I said if you want to be a cloud network architect, do a CCNP or a CCIE along with an introductory cloud cert like the AWS SAP. I then said if you wanted to be a cloud security architect, get a real security certification such as a CISSP or a CCSP, in addition to the solution architect professional. So what I'm saying is to get certifications that are going to create the illusion of competency, because no certification except for the CCIE or the Cisco Certified Internet Expert really is enough to get anybody hired. So what I'm saying is get one cloud and one industry cert, and the industry cert to be in the career that you want to help build the brand. So for example, if I wanted to be a cloud security person and I did a CCNP, that would look ridiculous. In fact, I'd probably take it off of somebody's resume if they were applying for a cloud security architect, because I want to show security, not networking. And if I've got a network person, I want to show networking. Maybe, just maybe, I had someone that worked in Linux for the last 10 years. And maybe I'd rather have them have a Red Hat certified architect plus an AWS certified solution architect professional. What we're looking for is one industry, and big industry, and one cloud. And that's really the key. That's really the key. So kind of think that and keep that in the back of your mind. What we're looking at is optimizing you for your actual career. Now, when in doubt, if you don't have something, We like a networking certification like a CCNP and an AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional. Why? Because the cloud is nothing more than a network and a data center. So when in doubt, if you don't know, we do like to get one networking and data center cert or something. But if you do know what you want to do, we are much more goal-directed than saying get any random certifications. We are goal-directed to make it exactly what you want to do. For someone's goal is to be a CISM, a CISO, as Chief Information Security Officer, I'm not going to get them a CEH Master, which is a ethical hacking certification, because it's not going to look relevant. Now, the CISSP would, potentially a CISM would, but we really have to focus on this person's brand. What's Apple's brand? Easy to use and fun. Real clear, right? What's BMW's brand? The ultimate driving machine. It's a performance-based sport car. Nobody thinks it's a long life car, but they view it as a long life sports car. What's the Mercedes brand? Safe, smooth to drive, and lasts forever. Everybody's got a brand. And when the brand is clear, people buy, hire. When the brand is ambiguous, salary goes down, price goes down, opportunity goes down. So the question becomes is, what do you want to do, Jacob P? And then we can help you get certified. But remember, certifications don't get people hired. Certifications get people the interview. Now, that's why we like certifications. They help get the interview. Knowledge gets you hired. Competency gets you hired. The right attitude gets you hired. The right network and data center skills gets you hired. The right leadership skills gets you hired. The right business acumen gets you hired. The right CXO relevancy gets you hired. The right communication skills get you hired. So we have to differentiate between certification goals, which is an interview, and hiring goals, which are knowledge. But you've heard me say I should like one from industry and one from the cloud. But it always is the career first, and then the training second. So if I was going to go on a mission, military mission, right? Before I go on the mission, what's the soldier going to do? They're going to say, what do I need on the mission? What's the threat level? How much body armor do I need? How much do I need to carry? How much backup food do I need to carry? How much backup ammo do I need to carry? What kind of body armor am I wearing? What kind of shoes? What kind of clothing, for example? We determine what the goals are, what we need to achieve, and then we determine what we need to get there. So you've heard me make some suggestions based on certain things. But every time, for every decision, you should run an analysis. Here's where I'm at now. Here's where I want to be tomorrow. What gets me to those things that I want to be tomorrow? That's the secret. Completely the secret. Glad I remember. Good morning. It's so good to see you. Pierre, good to see you. Daniel Mitra, do you know if Microsoft SharePoint is always on the cloud or can it be on-premise? SharePoint used for intranet. Daniel Mitra, I haven't used SharePoint in 20 years in any way, shape, or form for any customers. Daniel Mitra, the global enterprise customers that I work basically have Windows Active Directory servers and Microsoft Exchange servers. And as far as SharePoint, I've never had a customer that I worked with that was really setting it up. So I have absolutely no idea. That's not really something where I get involved. Customers reach out to me for digital transformation, and this is not the kind of thing that I do. So it's not a big cloud architecture. It's not a big network architecture. It's not a big security architecture. It's not a particularly thing that's transformational. And since my focus is on long-term enterprise system design and digital transformation, this is something that's not something I would do. There are people that would focus on this, but they're more like the Microsoft 365 kind of consultants, not cloud architects. And Daniel, like I tell other people, focus on your career, not somebody else's. That's not my career. So I stay out of those things that are on my career, and I master the things that are inside my career. But it's not something I've ever worked with. People come to me like, hey, Mike, I need to increase revenue by 10%. Or, hey, Mike, we've got buying this company, and how do we get them to connect? Hey, Mike, we were hacked. What do we do about it? So this is not anything I really know about in any great degree. Chris, we can go to the next one. Robert Welch, good morning. How are you? Eddie, cloud hired all day. Fantastic. Douglas G. Good morning, Mike, Bob, Chow, and Alonzo. Yes, Douglas G. And welcome to you as well. If you got some questions, please ask them. That's why we come online 3 times a week to help answer your questions, to help you build your best career. Daniel Mitra, for the Azure Expert, do you know if you can take it directly or does it require needing to take the first 3 prerequisites? There is a prerequisite exam, one of them, but Daniel Mitra, what's the point of taking this course? Or what's the point of doing the Azure Solution Architect Expert? Daniel, if you're already certified as the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional, I don't recommend getting another one, but I would still take the training to get some more familiarity with the Azure content. So when it comes to building your career, we have to determine, is it a competency thing we need? Is it a knowledge thing we need? Or is it a certification thing we need? Now, let's really break down the jobs. The entry-level jobs, such as a cloud admin, I'm going to tell you for the most part, these jobs are dead, gone, and especially with the economic changes and the advancements in DevOps and automation, don't expect them ever to come back, these basic entry-level jobs. But the admin jobs, name of the service and how to configure that, that's what these certifications do. They build entry-level, junior-level install skills. But when we're dealing at the architect level or even the cloud engineering level, the cloud engineer is a professional. If they're 10x certified, they don't know anything about the cloud. They know certification. The cloud engineer needs to be a smart professional. That professional needs to understand networking. They need to understand data centers. They need to know the clouds. They need to understand storage and security and networking. They need a body of knowledge. The cloud engineer needs to know Linux and some infrastructure as code and how to script. It's a cloud engineer. Again, that stuff's not covered in certifications. Don't waste the time with it. Next. On the architect side, this is a design, present, and sell career. And if you're in the sales, design, present, and sell, and even if you're post-sales, it's design, present, and sell. And I'll explain that, and I should make a video about post-sales architects still doing designs, presentations, and selling. But, so for me, I'm going to have a lot of students that are going to take this. Half of my students are going to take this just for the Azure knowledge, and that's enough to help them along the way in their career. And some will worry about it to get certified. So for the certification, yes, you've got to do that one little AZ something. It's the intro level one that you can take before this. It's super basic. But really, what's your goal in this? Is it to get certified? Sure, use it and get certified. Or is your goal to be better because you're already certified in AWS or Google and you don't need another certification. You just want to be better. And in that case, it's really great. So when we do our training, I got to tell you this. I focus on the hiring side of everything we do. We bias everything towards how stuff works and hiring. And here's the reason, Daniel. On job interviews, they don't say configure this, ever. They do say present this, they do say describe this, and they do say sell this to me. So that's what we focus on a little more. We're a little biased on the how to get hired piece. So yes, you do need one of the intro levels, but it depends what your goal is. If your goal is more knowledge and you're already certified, don't worry about the intro. Just go to the senior. So that's how I look at it. To me, Daniel, everything has a cost, time related. So I've got 4 hours. I can spend 4 hours learning a Python script as an architect, which will have zero benefit for my career. Or I can spend 4 hours learning about BGP. Whoa, that builds my career. 4 hours learning Terraform. I'm an architect. I don't touch the tech. Wasted time. 4 hours on ROI modeling. Huge bump to my salary. So Daniel, where do you want to go? And then think about that and take that into everything that you can possibly know. Anthony Gonzalez. Mike, what is the most money a top-tier cloud architect has made annually that I personally know? I know lots of people that earn around $500,000, Anthony. It's not a complicated thing to do as an architect or a cloud architect. Anthony, there's a huge determination in architect pay. It's based upon your leadership skills, your sales skills, your emotional intelligence, your executive presence, your ROI modeling. I was dealing with architects and we were earning $300,000 a year 20 years ago as an architect. I have buddy of mine's friend got a $200,000 sign-on bonus for one company and a $500,000 a year as an architect, but he was an expert in BGP and networking. So the key is, it's really based upon this. And Anthony, it's also based upon you. So I want you to understand the job of the architect is design, present, and sell. So if you work for a company and you're paid on a commission/bonus structure, and some of your be a huge base salary as a rule. Most of these jobs will have a base salary of 150 to 200. And then you've got a bonus structure, which may say be 30, 35% if you hit your target, which is another 100,000. But if the company's doing good, you can do better than that. And if you did good and you and your team sell more, you can get paid a lot more than that. How much have I seen it, Anthony? I remember 15 years ago when there were sales reps that were getting $100,000 and $200,000 commission checks every single month. I remember a time where the hardest thing that it was the biggest challenge one of the biggest tech companies had was keeping enough paper in the fax machines because people were faxing in their orders at so much 20 years ago. So the key is it's all about the impact you make to your customer, Anthony. So I want to go back and ask you this question. I've got two people. I've got a really good programmer, really, really good and smart and capable. They know everything. They cost me money. I pay them $180,000 a year. Now, Anthony, I've got a cloud architect. Now, this cloud architect just met with the CEO of the world's largest bank. This cloud architect then met with the CIO, the CTO, the CISO, and then the technology team and design and architecture that's $300 million. And they brought it back to the customer. Okay, programmer, paying $180. They cost money. Cloud architect just brought in $300 million deals. Now, somebody brings in $300 million and they want a $500,000 commission. Does it matter? Of course it doesn't. It's meaningless. And that's why the people on the sales side always earn more. So that's why we created our Cloud Architect Career Development Program. Between 80 and 90% of our students graduate with $100,000 to $300,000 a year job. Almost everybody. And the 20% that don't have that are because they came to us, they were in real trouble financially. While they were in our course, they were like, I can't actually wait to graduate, but I got this job offer for $85,000, so they take it. And I say, what are you doing now? And they say, Mike, I can't afford to wait 2 or 3 months to get hired, but I could use that $85,000 right now. And we say, take it. But otherwise, they're the only people that we get that have less than $100,000 salaries in the US as a rule. So the money you make in any career is based upon your impact. So technical architect, not selling a $300 million thing. So their impact is lower. And that's the reason they earn so much less. Enterprise architect or a cloud architect, the way we train them, that's biased on the enterprise side, that's got exceptional leadership skills, sales skills, emotional intelligence, communication skills, etc. No, that's why our people earn more. So Anthony, I've got 2 programs to get people these jobs. I've got the Cloud Architect Career Development Program that really gets people their first cloud architect job, and we're doing amazingly well statistically speaking. Magazines all over the world write about us. I think we were in like 30 to 50 magazines in the last 6 months talking about what we do and our success rates and all the ways we do it. So there's that. We also have a Tech Career Accelerator Program, and that's really designed for people that are working in tech. Maybe they're a engineer and they want to become an engineering manager, or they're an engineering manager and they want to become a VP, or they're a cloud architect and they want to move into an enterprise architect role. I have that Tech Career Accelerator Program. Realistically speaking, they're the 2 the best that we've created. And the reason we created this is the skill and the training for these high dollar volume skills, the things that you paid, is expensive training. Cost basically about $250,000 for me to learn those skills. Now, I will say my employer paid a big chunk of it, but I also paid a big chunk of it myself. And reality is, I took about $15,000 of emotional intelligence training, about $15,000 of CXO relevancy training, at least $20,000 of presentation skills training, minimum. Difficult conversations, leadership training, another $20,000 to $30,000 spent on that. Then I went and did an MBA. Then I basically spent 20 years studying psychology, body language, neurolinguistic programming, and emotional intelligence tools and training tactics. And that's why I'm so good at it. Now, there are schools that teach this, Anthony, but they're going to be really, really expensive. We teach the same course at a lower price. Once you do my course, If you're looking for more things on your resume, don't get more certifications. Don't waste your time, effort, or money, because they're not going to build your salary or your marketability. Now, an MBA would. No, I didn't say master's in tech. I didn't say master's in electrical engineering. I didn't say master's in computer science. I don't view them as highly valuable things because your IQ only gets you so far. Once it gets beyond your IQ, your emotional intelligence gets you much further. So focus on getting the maximum amount of technical acumen you have and maximize your leadership skills, maximize your sales skills, maximize your emotional intelligence, maximize your business acumen, maximize your CXO relevancy, maximize. Live up to your potential and earn up to your potential. Make an impact on your customers, improve your customers' business. You'll get a name and a brand that is absolutely amazing. And you can do it, and we'd love to get you there. Love to get you there. So, Anthony, I hope I answered your question. And please come and ask some questions so we can help build your career. And while you're at it, give me a hashtag Cloud Hired, please. And right now, because of the alarming trends we see in the economy, runaway inflation, tech companies starting to reduce, we had our first negative quarter of GDP growth, and we're going to talk a lot more to you about the economy and managing your career and optimizing your career and economy. But one of the best things to do in a down economy is to be better than the rest. Be the best and get yourselves cloud hired or cloud promoted. So in the short term, to try and help you out and get you to live up to your potential and reach your potential so you don't have to struggle with inflation, we're offering 30% off of all of our programs and use coupon code POTENTIAL. See, we like to get people to live up to their potential. Realistically, I want you to realize what we're trying to do. So the people that I know, the executives from other companies, the people that I've trained, they call me up each day and they laugh at me. They're like, Mike, why are you giving away your course? Your course is worth like $50,000 and you charge a day's pay. I said, that's the reason. I don't need to work. I just want to have fun in my retirement and I want to get the world cloud hired. And I'm doing it. I have fun in my retirement. Every time one of my students gets hired, it's like a party at Mike's house. I celebrate. My wife celebrates. My cute cat Cindy celebrates with me. We hug her. She doesn't like it very much, but she celebrates. She gets some fresh shrimp, scallop, and tuna every time somebody gets cloud hired, which is once a day. And, what we're really talking about is one day's pay to actually build the career of your dreams. A career that pays as much as a doctor, as much as a lawyer, more than an accountant, and a single day's pay, and nobody else in the world will do it. I'm doing it to help you guys build your careers. I'm trying to do it almost as a charity to make sure that everybody can get hired, get promoted, and live their best life. So, single day's pay. So, it's a no-brainer. Deepa Alice, you have failed more than 5 interviews. Okay, I'm going to give you some guidance right there. Do companies communicate in a way that can affect your brand when you go to the next interview? So, Deepa, I'm going to tell you this. No one should ever go more than 3 interviews for a position. And if someone's gone on more than 3 interviews, there is a problem. The problem's going to be in one of the following categories. The problem is either technical competency. For example, and I don't know what your background is, but if all you have is certifications, that's never going to be enough. But the problem is either technical competency, attitude, energy, enthusiasm, communication skills, leadership skills, emotional intelligence, interview techniques, or business acumen. So we have to diagnose what your actual problem actually is. But you should never need to go more than 3 interviews. Personally, I've interviewed at 5 companies. I've been hired by all 5 because I've mastered it instead of the interviews. And that's when my students do really well as well, because they're trained for the interview. So the rule is I don't recommend going on interviews until you are ready. I don't. And that's why I do free, like once a month. I go interview people completely free on my YouTube channel so I can tell them if they're ready. And I don't know what job you want, Deepa Alice. And if you can tell me which job you want, I can kind of guide you towards what your resume should look like, what your skills should look like. But generally speaking, if you're going on more than 3 job interviews and you're not getting hired, you need training. You need someone to make the best knowledge for you, to diagnose your problem, whether it's an interview problem, in a lot of cases, just interview tactics. In some cases, it's competency. In a lot of cases, it's competency. It's really hard to find somebody that's competent. No, what's not hard to find, Deepa Alice, is someone that knows a lot or little about a lot of things. And generally speaking, this is the hardest thing for us to find. If I need a cloud architect, for example, Deepa, and I make a job posting, here's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get 1,000 people. Now, they're all going to have 1 million certifications. Now, one will have certifications in SysOps and DevOps, and instantly I'm going to trash that application. Why? Because I want an architect, not a DevOps engineer, and not a maintenance person, which is SysOps. So there's that. And then what we find is when we interview people, could you tell me how you load share across 2 equal cost paths to the cloud without getting out of order packets on 2 different service providers? The person looks at us like we have 4 heads. And when we say to the person, you've got 100,000 subnets, here's your CIDR block, how could you orchestrate it in a manner that's going to allow for easy route summarization and good traffic flow? People look at us like we have 4 heads. Then Deepa, Alice, when we say we're a big bank and we've got data coming in from the following things. We've got data in our NoSQL database, data in our data warehouse, data in our relational database. We have streaming clickstream data coming in here. We have other data coming in here. What can we do to aggregate that data and learn from that data and massage the data? That's an architect. And when we ask people how to do that, they don't know. What they know is, here's how to configure stuff. So I don't know which job you're looking for, but I'm just giving you an example with architects. When architects are system designers and they do certifications that basically give them the name of that service and how to configure that service, what do they get? Completely irrelevant training. So Deepa, Alice, if you're looking in the architect world, I'm going to tell you the number one problem is as follows. People are training admin skills and not architecture skills. Now, the next thing that's usually a problem with architects, and I don't know which career you're looking for, but this is pretty important to know as well. If I ask somebody how it works and they tell me how to configure something, we're speaking different languages. And yesterday I'd asked one of my students and he gave me requirements. And I said, I need the business requirements so we can design architecture together. And he gave me things about an API, and he gave me things. I said, no, these are technical requirements. Can't do the design until we know the business requirements. And I said, so what's going on? Are they trying to increase revenue? Are they trying to cut expenses? Are they trying to lay off? Do they need this? What are they trying to do? So there's the key. So there's that. And then usually it's a mindset issue too. Am I going to take a big picture stance and look at it out and lead a team? Or am I going to drill down and try and zoom in, which I can't do as an architect? So the key, Deepa, Alice, is do you have the exact skills for the job? And here's what's going to happen if you don't. If you get an interview and someone's willing to bring you in, it means they're willing to hire you. Now, on that interview, if they say, come back when you have experience or you lack experience, they didn't like something. I can tell you that right now. I will also tell this, on interviews, be honest. Prior to the last 1,000 interviews I did, I interviewed 5,000 people, and 4,950 people lied to me on the interview. The number 2 thing that hiring managers want is honesty and integrity and trust. You know which 4,950 people I didn't hire? Everyone that lied to me. In fact, I kept a cookie jar in my office, and I don't eat butter, sugar, or flour, or cookies. I would hand them out. As soon as the first lies, I would just give cookies. So I didn't hear that. So make sure you're honest and ethical. It's okay to say, I don't know. Now, I wouldn't just say, I have no idea. That kind of ends the interview. You might say, I'm sorry I've not had the opportunity to learn the technology yet, but I'm highly energetic, I'm highly motivated, and I love technology. And if this was important to you, I would do everything reasonable and unreasonable to master that technology. But I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and this is not something I know well read. But what I know a lot about is BGP, object storage, and NoSQL databases. Even if it's that, guide them to what you know. But no, they don't do that. But don't go on the same interview again and again until your competency. Because here's why. Once you interview with the company once, if it doesn't go well, they're not going to interview you again. So make sure that you're ready and you're skilled. And you should get there. And you should have a good career. But if you've been on more than 5 interviews, there's a problem. Don't keep hitting your head against the wall and hoping so something's going to change. Tune yourself. And it's an expression, hitting your head against the wall. I don't really mean it, but don't keep repeating the same mistake again and again and again and expect a different outcome. To me, that's the very definition of insanity. And Deepa, Alice, on my first tech job 25 years ago, I sent 5 resumes and got 5 rejections. So I changed my tactic. and got hired immediately. So if something's not working, change it, fix it. Architect your next interview and win, 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 win. That would be my advice for you. If you'd like to tell us your goals, and if you'd like us to tell us what you've done to achieve those goals in the chat box, we can give you better guidance on how to win in your next interview. Before I forget, on June 14th to June 18th, we're running a completely free Azure Solution Architect Bootcamp. The link is in the description below. The link is in the chat box. Please register. It'll be a good time. It'll be a fun time. It's going to be live and free. And we would never, ever, ever torture somebody with PowerPoint slides and voiceover. Nobody should be forced to go through that. We're going to have a good experience. We'll talk for 20 minutes. We'll do 10 minutes of question and answer so you can learn and build your best career completely free, courtesy of Go Cloud Careers, trying to help you get cloud hired. We can bring in the next question, please. Michael G., you have read some of my long format writings. You encourage us all to write. Can I speak about the process? Do I start with an outline and objective? Well, Douglas, I'm a little different on the way I do things. So, like, for example, when I started subnetting 25 years ago, somebody tried to show me the math. And I was like, no. And then I just saw the subnets in my head and it all made sense. In fact, your best network architects can literally see the subnets through their head like roads on our roadmap. So I didn't learn it the way normal people do. And I don't write the way normal people write either. When I write, I think about the thing that I want people to communicate, and then I work backwards. When I design an architecture, Douglas, I figure out what the solution is, and then I work backwards. When I design a business architecture or management consulting, I take the end state and work backwards. So, Douglas, let's look at it this way. If your goal was to show that a new collaboration service could improve business financial performance, decrease travel costs, and increase speed and time of new products to market while simultaneously decreasing error defects because of better collaboration, and you wanted to communicate that, that's the goal. Now, if you were designing an architecture, that's still the goal. So we take that goal. Now, when it comes to designing an architecture, for example, we take that goal, and then we think about the people, the processes, and the technology that will make that happen. Then we'll make an architecture, meaning, okay, I need these servers here, this network stuff here, this security stuff here. And then Douglas will back in and say, okay, well, I need 2 next generation firewalls. I think that the Palo Alto next generation firewalls are what we need. We need 2 of them, so we're going to use load balance, for example. Hey, wait, I need this application from Cisco, or this server from Cisco. Let me go get this thing from us, et cetera, pop that in the data center. Hey, wait, I need this kind of auto VPN access from remote access users to work from home. Okay, who makes it? Cisco Meraki makes it. It's simple and easy. Okay, boom, got to pop that into the design. So start with the outcome in mind and then work backwards. And then, Douglas, I would encourage you to plan your dive your plan your paper, run your paper. So take the concept, figure out the end state, and then think about the stuff that you need to put in the paper to show and substantiate why you got that. So, and then the next thing, Douglas, is, because I know you desire to be an architect, we have to consider engineering writing versus architect writing. And they're exactly the opposite. So an engineer will write like this. Here's this challenge that's going on. Here's this problem that's going on. Here's this problem that's going on. Here's this problem that's going on. And here's how we're going to fix it. That's engineering writing. It's not wrong. It's engineering writing. Now here's architect writing. See, the architect has to sell their solution to somebody. And if you're writing to get hired, you have to sell you to the hiring manager, right? So it's a persuasive paper. So start with the objective. What's the objective? To get somebody to see that you're an expert cloud architect. So how do you do that? Well, when you write your document, the first thing that you do is you talk about a solution to solve a business problem with technology. And then you talk about the technology that enables it. And then you talk about how you got to it. Now then, wow, you're good. So start out with the solution, the why. and the reasons, and then the world sees you as a leader. So it's the exact opposite of what people do in technology normally. Now, when we design, when we write, Douglas, there's really three kinds of writing that we need to do as architects. And I know you probably saw my 250-page medical grade network architecture, because it's floating out there on the internet. It was a public architecture for Cisco. It has a huge architecture that was used throughout the world. If you look at that architecture, Douglas, you'll also notice there's two other versions of it. There's the 250-page one that I wrote from the engineers that are going to have to build it. There's the 3-page one that I wrote for the CEOs, et cetera, that were going to read it. And then there was the 12-page one that I wrote for management teams that were going to read it. So there's that. Douglas, everything starts with an objective. Now, I don't put an objective in the paper, but everything starts with an objective. Every architecture begins with an objective. Every product purchased by a company, whether it's an ice machine or a router or a cloud, anything starts with an objective. So I always start with an objective. So, Douglas, I like to say this. Whether it's your life, a battle mission, you're a doctor taking care of a patient, you're trying to get your first cloud architect job, you're trying to write a document to see the world see you as an expert, or if you're trying to become the CEO of a company, start with the end goal in mind and then work backwards. I want to be this. Here's where I'm at now. If I want to be this and here's where I'm at, what's the stuff that I'm missing to be there? That's the stuff that you fill in your document. That's the stuff that you fill into your career. That's the stuff that you do in your battle. That's the stuff that you do with your patient to get better. Do that, and you will always succeed, Douglas. So yes, I've encouraged you all to write. As architects, you're going to be writing, and more writing. Your company is going to be asking you to write thought leadership and white papers, as they like to call them. Your company is going to be asking you to writing. You'll be writing proposals for customers. You'll be responding to RFIs, requests for information, RFPs, requests for proposals, RFQs, requests for quote. You're going to be dealing with this stuff every single day. So, yep, get used to writing and get great at it. Writing built my career. In fact, Douglas, early in my youth, when I was just a little bear cub, I worked for a company called Riverstone Networks a long time ago. Loved the company. My manager said, I need you to write a paper about IP multicast. You're like the only guy that understands it. So I wrote a paper on IP multicast. Traveled almost 200,000 miles that year teaching people multicast. That paper built my career. And then I went to Cisco. Had a good career there. You know what built it? A paper on the medical grade network. It was architecture to transform healthcare. I spoke to pretty much every healthcare system in the entire world. One day I was in Brisbane. Another day I was in Victorian Province in Melbourne. Another day I'm in Sydney. Another day I'm in London. Another day I'm in Belgium. I mean, you name it. Another day I'm in San Jose. Another day I'm in San Francisco. Another day I'm in Chicago. Another day I'm in New York. It was constant because we wrote something that showed how we can shape the industry and improve the industry. So Douglas, go out there and write. Write some more. Write better. Show that you are so much better than the other people that are focused on certifications. Let them get their 10x AWS certification so that they can go on an interview and we can interview them and realize they know nothing of design at all. They're jack of all trades and hobbyists, master of none. You go out there, write, show your leadership, show your digital transformation, show your business acumen, and watch the world come to you, Douglas. So, yes, I love it. Hope I answered your question. And please, people, if you're here, you want to learn, ask some questions. We want to help you build your best career. And if you're having a good time, if you can hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and tell your friends. Join us on Thursday for the completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. We will tell you everything you need to know to get hired. We will tell you, for example, how to leverage your life experience. We'll tell you exactly what hiring managers are looking for so you can become their dream hire and get hired. We'll tell you what needs to be put on your resume. We'll teach you how to skip HR so you don't get auto-rejected when you have lack of experience. We'll teach you the job. We'll tell you what to put on your resume. It's going to be a great time. I promise you we'll do everything we can to help you. It's completely free, live on Zoom. So hope to speak to you soon. And see you in the free webinar. Anthony Gonzalez, what programs do I recommend to help improve leadership? I recommend our Tech Career Accelerator program. Otherwise, I recommend an MBA from a top 10 school for leadership skills, or get an MBA at the cheapest cost you can at any other school that's out there, and then go do some heavy-duty leadership training, like the kind in our course, or, those that are out there. There are good leadership training academies out there, but they get really, really expensive, and I don't think they're as good as ours. So programs that I recommend for leadership, if you wanted to move into a cloud architect role, I'd recommend the Cloud Architect Career Development Program. But if you're already working as a cloud architect or you're trying to get higher than that, I recommend our Tech Career Accelerator Program. Chris and Chow from my team could pop in a link to that course as well as a 30% off discount. And we even have a leadership class today at noon. It'll be lots of fun. Love to see you there. But that's the program I recommend, or a top 10 MBA program. And here's why I recommend top 10. The education's not better, but what's been my experience, the high value skills that we're talking about, the high value skills that I teach, how to have a business lunch, how to entertain clients, how to communicate, how to lead, how to sell. Those top 10 schools do a really good job of teaching that. Now, because of that, an MBA goes from maybe $50,000 to $250,000. But here's what I'm saying. That extra $200,000 to learn those communication skills, sales skills, leadership skills is often worth it. Or you can take my program, which is $700 or $699 after the discount, and get those same skills. It's up to you. But that would be what I would recommend. And long term, wouldn't hurt you to get an MBA. I got one, Chris got one, Alonzo on my team got one. There's a reason for it. It teaches us the business acumen, the ROI modeling, etc. Now, I teach most of those skills anyway, but it still looks good on your resume. Remember, what's the point of a resume? Getting you better interviews. So that's what I recommend. And you'll do really well. Eddie Patrick, yes, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We put a lot of time, effort, and money into being here. We've invested in 6K video cameras, studio lighting, professional audio gear, video encoders. We're using 64-core workstations with a half a terabyte of RAM just to stream to you and make it look good. So please like and subscribe because we want to make the best experience for you. And ask some questions. We'd love to answer them. Kate Phillips. As a complete beginner, you'll have only the SAP. Yeah, that's fine. That's a good beginner certification. You know the CCNP will help, but without it, can an AWS be enough for you in addition to deep cloud knowledge if you don't have any tech background? Kate Phillips. It depends. If you really know the cloud, yes. But here's the key. The AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional is less than 5% of what you're going to need for the real job. So there's that. Now, why would I like you to get a CCNP if you're brand new? You got to look at what we're dealing with. When you're brand new, the world gets a little scared. And the world knows that AWS SAP is kind of like an intro to junior level cloud anything. And it's not enough to work. So when we're dealing with someone that's got no degrees in tech, no experience in tech, no background in tech, we really like to have 2 certifications to help somebody get the interview. Now, having said that, Kate Phillips, I've gotten people hired that have 0 certifications with no background as well. We had someone that was doing GIS, geospatial imaging. It was kind of cool stuff. Totally not related to networking, data center, cloud concepts. And he got certified as an AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate after our training. But he was hired before the Certified Solution Architect Associate. So how did he get hired? Well, he was really good. But economic times are getting a little rougher. I like to see those 2 on the resume whenever possible. But here's the thing. Kate, if you're building the right competency and you're building the right resume and you're building the right LinkedIn profile and you've got the skills because you have deep cloud knowledge, deep business knowledge, deep leadership knowledge, deep emotional intelligence, deep scale skills. And Kate Phillips, without those, it's going to be completely hard to get a job. But what I don't know, and before I say any more, is what career do you want? Before I say the CCNP. Because we need to know a career, because if it's a cloud engineer versus a cloud architect, it's going to be a different set of skills. So I believe, Kate Phillips, I know your name. I believe you're looking in the cloud architect world. So I'm going to bias this towards the cloud architect because I think you're who I think you are. But if you are not and you don't desire to be a cloud architect, please tell me in the chat box. And people, please ask questions in the chat box so we can help you build your career. So there's that. So if you're getting enough interviews without the Cisco certification, then it doesn't matter. Because you got to remember, Kate Phillips, why do we do certifications? There's nothing in the certification that's going to get you hired. Zero. But having the certifications creates the illusion of competency, which helps you get an interview. And reality is, when you've got no background experience and you come from a different industry, that second certification can really help you get the interview. But if you're getting the interviews because of your resume, and you're getting the interviews because your LinkedIn page, and you're getting your interviews because maybe you're co-authoring a book like a lot of my students do, then guess what? You don't need it. So the key is, are you getting the interviews or not? The whole point of the certifications is the interview. That's it. The knowledge can be obtained anyway. It's just the interviews we're looking for. So that's why we're so focused on getting 2 certifications and 1 off of the cloud. Now, I know people that get hired with no certifications, but they know the cloud. So it's up to you. But my recommendation generally is to try to get 1, get extreme knowledge, and I like to get a second cert, but never more than 2 for the architect, because I'm not trying to create an engineer. I'm trying to create an architect, and it's a different skill. So that's what I would do. But the second cert is really about interview. And you may get away without it, but you might need it. So you got to feel it out and see your career. Go in and see if you get interviews. You're getting 5 interview requests per day, 10 interview requests a day, like all my students do, then you don't need it, as long as you've got the competency. If you're not getting 5 to 15 interview requests per day from people that are reaching out to you saying, I want to hire you, please talk to me, like my students get, after the resume reviews, then you need it. So that's the key. What's getting you the traffic? For a business that does e-commerce, what gets the traffic to the website? For job hiring people, that gets the traffic to your resume, getting you the interviews. That's it. If you're getting them without it, it's your revenue purpose, you don't need it. Remember, certifications get you an interview, they don't get you an hire. So if we get you an interview without it, all the better. Hope I answered your question. Please ask some more if you guys have some questions. Moses, hi Mike, you want to do cloud DevOps. You already have your CCNA and been learning some DevOps tools, including Linux, Git, and okay. So what certification do I advise you to take on? Moses, again, it's more about being capable of doing DevOps than certification. So your knowledge of Jenkins, your knowledge of Spinnaker, your knowledge of the Google tools, the knowledge of the Azure cloud tools, the knowledge of the AWS DevOps tools, the knowledge of CI/CD processes, the knowledge of code checks, the knowledge of all that stuff. That's what you need to know. That's the key. Your knowledge of software development, because I'm assuming you're a software developer if you want to be a DevOps engineer, because if you're not, don't waste your time. It's not a career for you unless you're a software developer, because this is really about software development and automating software release cycles. Infrastructure as code. Now, next, what you would need is you need to become an expert on Terraform. Then you'd also need to become an expert in infrastructure as code. You need to be an expert on scripting and programming to do this job. And then which certifications would I tell you to do? 2 basic ones. I would tell you to do the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional, because that's kind of a basic intro to the cloud thing. And I would tell you to do the AWS DevOps Professional, because that's kind of an intro to DevOps stuff. But really, I'd say focus on that. Now, you mentioned cloud DevOps. DevOps is DevOps on the cloud, off the cloud. It really is meaningless. But that's a pure engineering job, Moses. Know that it's engineering. So become a good software developer first, then learn the DevOps tools, all of them, then get a lot of background and training in Kubernetes, then get massive background training and knowledge and expertise in Terraform, then get massive knowledge and expertise in CI/CD pipelines, get massive knowledge in software release development cycles and how things work, and then get those 2 certifications and you should be good. But mind you, 90% is not the certifications, it's the other training. That's what I would do if I was you. But I would want you to know that once you get in DevOps, because it's a deep engineering program, it's going to be hard to get out of that. I mean, if you wanted to move into leadership or management careers or architecture careers, it's going to handicap you because it's going to create that engineering brand. Now, if you want to do the DevOps world, and I think DevOps is a great career, then I think it's terrific. The reason I think DevOps is a great career is it's automation. DevOps engineers help people get laid off, meaning they help companies do more with less. We're in a tough economic time right now. DevOps engineers can help automate, help companies that need to lay off, help companies do things better, faster, and cheaper. And so there's there. But that's what I would do. And I think you could do really well. Just make sure that's what you want to do long-term, not short-term. Because if it's what you want to do short-term, great. If it's what you want to do long-term, great. But if you want to do something else long-term, once you get into these deep positions where you have to become a software engineer first, long before you kind of do these things, that's when you find yourself having a hard time to get out of it later. So just keep that in the back of your mind. It's not easy to get into, and it's going to be harder to get out of, but it is a good career, a very good career, as long as you know all those things. Great question, Moses. Thank you for asking, and please ask more. For anybody that's there, if you've got some questions, ask them. You guys are being awfully shy today. I'm here to help you in any way I can. Please ask some questions. Please join us for the completely free Azure Solution Architect Expert Bootcamp, June 14th, June 18th. The link is in the description below. Here to win. Mike, if you had to pick one area to specialize as a cloud architect engineer, such as security infrastructure, others which are not there, which has the most potential? Here to win. If I had an area to pick to specialize, which has the most potential? It's leadership. We're not even in the same universe here. So we got to look at this. Generic cloud, good. Cloud security, good. Cloud networking, good. And cloud enterprise architect, great. So here to win, let's think about it. I'm the world's greatest cloud security architect. How much do you think I'm going to earn? It's a technical position. I'm going to meet with the client, ask them about their business to a certain degree. But if I'm a security architect, I'm less focused on the business and more focused on the firewall strategy, the IDS, IPS system strategy, the social engineering prevention strategy, the employee training strategy, for example, the security policies, etc., the anti-malware things. That's a cloud security person. That's a good $200,000 a year skill. A good one. Good one. Take a CCIE like me, a cloud network expert, a network expert that's also a cloud person. That's a $300,000 job too. Because you got a CCIE, which is a $200,000 job, because it's so hard, it's like 75,000 pages of reading to do that, plus the cloud, plus the architect knowledge. Now here to win. Now I'm more of an enterprise architect. And instead of focusing on just the network, instead of just focusing on just the security, now I've got an MBA. I'm full of executive knowledge, full of leadership knowledge. And now I go meet with the world's largest bank. And I say to them, and I specialize in the banking industry. I've learned about how trading works. I know how black box trading systems work. I know how machine learning trading systems work. I know trading applications. I know trading feeds. I know how to optimize, nanoseconds of time in order to maximize profitability for companies. And now I go talk to someone with my industry expertise in the finance industry. So now I'm a business executive with an MBA and specialty experience and expertise in the finance industry because I learned it. I'm now an expert. Now I go meet with the CEO of a bank who's got $1 trillion under management. And the bank has earned, $600 billion, $100 billion last year, something crazy like that. Now, for this particular environment, if I can guide that bank, they can pay me whatever I want. Because if I can make that bank earn 1% more with tech, it could be billions. So which has the most potential? That's never going to be the tech side of anything. It's always going to be the business side, the leadership side, the executive side. So I like to look at it this way. I like to look at my skills when I calculate them because you can only spend your time in one place. Tech skills here, leadership skills here, in terms of return on investment, capital return on investment on your time. If you're looking to maximize it, you're the business side. But now the key here to win is determining what you like to do. So I love the network, right? I spend a lot of my career in the network because I love the network. And if I work on the network, it's not work for me. It's fun. It's fun. Now, if you ask me to write a Python script, I mean, that's torture for me. And I don't mean like a little torture. I'm not a procrastinator, and I would procrastinate that for the next 10 years. I would hate it so badly because I hate coding. I hate it. I took like a 3-day coding course to learn how to write a bash script 20 some years ago at Sun Microsystems, and the instructors were great, but it makes me miserable. It's not me. I can't sit behind a desk. I like to go talk to people, entertain clients, go sell stuff, and go make the world a better place. So there's that. So that's where you got to figure out what. So what I say is this: if you're looking for the most potential, it's always going to be on the executive side. Always, always, always. Because the people that know the most about business, they're the ones that have the biggest impact on the business, which means they can increase the business's profitability the most, which makes them worth the most. So first, determine here to win, what do you love to do? That's number one, because you can't do what you don't love. And then from there, determine you want to move the tech side or the business side. Give you an example. I can practice medicine. So I worked as a nurse. I'm a nurse practitioner. I was a paramedic firefighter. I know the whole scheme, what goes on from the time the person calls 911 to the time they're in the hospital and diagnosed and treated. So I know that. Now, if I design architectures for healthcare, am I better off than the average bear? Yeah. Why? Well, I can meet with the CEO of a hospital and say, I've lived your life. I know what it's like to practice medicine. I can meet with the chief nursing officer and say, I understand what your nurses do. I understand the medical apps, the industrial apps, the business problems. So when I would go to a healthcare organization and talk about solving the problems, they're like, oh my God, Mike, you need to listen to what you have to say. Sometimes here to when I would say, don't buy this. And they would say, what, Mike? All the techies told me to buy this. And I said, it's going to cause you problems. And they'd say, why? I'd say, because this really cool and exciting technology is going to mess up this workflow, and this workflow, which is going to cause injuries, illnesses, and death. And I said that at a board meeting one time. And the chief nursing officer stood up and gave me a standing ovation. She said, I've been saying this the whole time, that this application will kill people. We can't do it. And when she did that, and the CEO looked over at her and said, thank you, he looked over at me and said, Mike, is there a fix for this? And I said, I don't know yet. I said, if you would like, I'll do the following. I'll come spend the next 4 weeks at your organization. I will look at what your nurses do. I will look at your doctor's workflow. I will look at how your orderlies are transporting people. I will determine how much time your nurses spend looking for equipment. And then after that analysis, then I can make recommendations. You know what? After the analysis, I was able to make recommendations. When I told that customer what they needed, yeah, there was a sales rep there. The customer looked at me and said, okay. I mean, they didn't even go through the RFI, RFP, or RFQ. They basically said, okay, now we'll work with the sales teams to see what we can do to buy this. I didn't even think about it. Why? Because I had so much acumen, industry acumen. The customer knew that I cared about them. They knew that I told them not to buy something that didn't work. And that's why we architects are in sales as the trusted advisor, to tell people not to buy things that don't work, to buy things that do work and to make stuff for them that does work. There's that. So the most potential is the biggest impact. Here, when I had a manager 20 years ago, yanks me in his office and says, Mike, do you know the difference between a $150,000 systems engineer like you and a $300,000 architect? And I said, tell me. And he says, Mike, it's the impact you make on your customers. Your impact is not determined by your tech skills. He said, you've already maximized on them and no more is worth it. He said, your impact will increase with the following. Your impact will go up with your executive presence because people will believe you more. Your impact will go up when your communication skills are better. Your impact will go up when you can sell customers into the thing that's best for the business. Your impact will go up, Mike, when you're not trying to be an engineer and do it yourself, when you can take a step back and bring in 20 engineers with 25 years experience, and that every project has 500 years experience as opposed to your tech skills, Mike. That's how you build your impact. Would you like to go training? Well, I did about $250,000 of training all in all. It basically paid for itself in a year or so. So what has the most potential? You have the most potential. Can you train your mind to transform business? The better you're at it, the more you'll be paid, the more opportunities you have, and the world will come to you. So that's what I suggest here to win. That's the potential, the most potential. Before we go to the next question, please join me on Thursday on the free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar. We'll tell you how to get hired, literally all of it. All of it, all of it, all of it. We'll tell you how to leverage your life experience. We'll tell you what hiring managers desire. We'll tell you what needs to be on your resume. We'll tell you the training you need, the certifications you need, how to do it with us or on your own. So no matter what, you will all know by the end of that meeting how to get cloud hired. We'll even teach you how to skip HR and get your resume directly in the hands of the hiring manager. Apologies if it sounds like there's a fleet of lawnmowers outside. I live in South Florida. It's really green here. It's been raining a lot, so the grass has been growing like crazy, and there's landscapers cutting grass everywhere right now. So apologies if you hear a lot of landscaping. Toto Don, Mike, is there any possibility the cloud will fail or be hacked? Well, yeah. So the cloud was hacked at least once this year. Azure was hacked this year, and they told people about it. AWS failed 4 times. And why did they fail? I don't know. Well, they had an impaired network on one day. I don't know what that means, and I've been a network architect for 25 years. They had a power failure in a data center, which data centers don't have power failures, generally speaking, because they have 2 power companies. They have 2 sets of generators. They usually have backup generators, and they usually have UPS systems. So I've never seen a data center with a power failure or a real data center. So, and then they had 2 other outages. So what could cause the cloud to fail? And yes, the cloud can fail. And yes, the cloud can get hacked. And it's happened before. These 3 things can cause the cloud to fail, which is why no one in their right mind would ever be on a single cloud. I mean it. I think that no one in their right mind would ever put all their eggs in one basket in a single cloud. That's why banking and finance people say don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your portfolio, meaning don't just buy stock in one company, because when that company has something and the stock goes to zero, the people go bankrupt. Now, in the last 20 years, we've always told people, and this is not the first cloud that failed on. I've seen clouds fail for 20 years. The first cloud I worked on was in 1996. It was called Frame Relay. Second cloud I worked on was called ATM in 1998. Around 2000, the cloud that I worked on was the RFC 2537 BGP cloud. 2001, I started working on the VPLS cloud. So clouds are not new. And they've all failed, and they've all been hacked. It's just a matter of when. So that's why no company in their right mind should ever go to a single cloud. Now, Don, I'm going to tell you this. At this point, 87% of organizations are on at least 2 clouds for that reason, because they expect the cloud to fail or get hacked. 97% of customers say they will be on 2 clouds by the end of the year. So what does this mean? It means the solution architect is dead and the cloud architect is happy, happy, party time, because the solution architect only knew 1 cloud. And the cloud architect knows how to use all the clouds and how to for their customers, which is why we've been training cloud architects from the beginning. We've told people never, ever, ever put your eggs in one basket. We've said it for years. When I was at Cisco, we always talked about 2 internet service providers, minimum 2 WAN service providers. When I was at WorldCom, we did the same thing. Even though they were internet service providers, customers had backup with a second network too. When I was at Riverstone Networks, we always used 2 service providers. When I was a lead architect at Night Security, we always used 2 service providers. All the big banks use 2 more than service providers, because you got to be crazy to put all your eggs in one basket. Yes, the cloud can fail. Yes, the cloud will be hacked, and it will happen again and again and again. And look, here's the thing. The cloud's great. The people that run the cloud are the best and brightest, most capable cloud in the world. They're great, but tech fails. That's why a plane has 2 to 4 engines, because an engine will fail on an airplane. It's going to happen. It's happened on me on planes. Systems will be hacked. No matter how much time, effort, and money you put to it, ultimately the system will be hacked. And that's why we put so much time, effort, and money into the system, to make them harder to hack. So if it takes 3 months to hack, you can usually catch them along the way. So yes, all technology fails. All of it. Which is why we never, ever, ever would say, hey, 2 availability zones, 2 regions, and Bob's your uncle, you've got a good 5 nines available system. until the cloud gets hacked. So what can cause the cloud to go down? There's really three main problems. The cloud has something called the control plane, which orchestrates it. So, whether you're dealing with software-defined networking, whether you're dealing with Kubernetes clusters or VMware environments, there's always a control plane. Think of it as the master, like the puppeteer that's moving the stuff around. That's the control plane. If something affects the control plane, like a network issue or they get hacked, down, no cloud. Now, what happens if the cloud gets hacked? Azure was hacked. They admitted it, honestly. Azure also survived one of the world's largest DDoS attacks. It was truly brilliant and amazing. But Azure admitted to being hacked. I believe other cloud providers were also hacked, but Azure admitted it. And it happens. And guess what? Azure admitted to be hacked, and their market share has gone up because they admitted it, they were transparent about it, and people understand that. Yes, the cloud got hacked. Internet service providers are also considered clouds, and they've also been hacked. So the cloud will fail, the cloud hacked. So number one failure is the control plane. Number two is you got a networking problem. You got a BGP issue where bad routes are being injected somewhere that can take down the entire cloud, the networking. Now, if the cloud gets hacked, that can take down the entire cloud too. And that's why we've always said the only solution is either multi-cloud or hybrid cloud multi-cloud or hybrid multi-cloud. So you can have your data center connect to a cloud, fine. You can have your data center connect to two clouds, even better. You can have no data center and use 2 to 3 clouds, and that's fine too. But there's a rule. 1 is none, and 2 is 1, and 3 is greater than 2. That means if you only have 1 cloud, assume it's going to go away. Don't ever do that. 2 clouds, good to go. 3 clouds, 2 of your clouds can fail and get hacked, and you're still up and operational. It's what I want if I'm running the world's largest bank. If I was the CEO of the world's largest bank, I'd be on 3 clouds. Well, actually, I'd be on a data center plus 2 clouds because I would like the performance of the data center, which is better than the cloud as a rule. And the cloud offers much more scalability, agility, so I would use the best of both. Great question. Before we move on, because we want to maximize your potential, because we understand the impact that inflation is having on all of you, eating away through your savings, eating away through your salary, eating away at your savings and your purchasing power. The only solution to this is to build a better career, earn more. So right now we're going to offer 30% discount off of every program we have with coupon code potential. I want you to get cloud hired. I want you to get a cloud promoted. I want to double, triple, or maximize your salary so the impact of inflation is meaningless to you. So for that short period of time, Chris and I have put a new coupon code of potential because I want to maximize your potential and get you all cloud hired. Love maximizing people's potential. So Chris, feel free to bring in the next one. Up and up. Hi, Mike, what's the difference between cloud infrastructure and cloud networking? Generally speaking, they're pretty much the same. Now, not always. Most people consider cloud infrastructure to be networking. Routers, switches, VPC stuff, VPC peering, your routing, etc. Some people also count other non-networking things to also be networking. So some people would count servers, load balancers, storage, and networking to be infrastructure. So what is infrastructure as a rule? Infrastructure is the underlying stuff that makes everything work. That's infrastructure. The stuff that makes everything work. So most people would consider infrastructure to be routers, switches, networking. But some people would consider the load balancers, the storage, the servers, the firewalls, the IDS, IPS systems, etc., also being infrastructure. So that's one of those things where I wish there was a common lexicon. And that's really something we need is a common lexicon, a common lexi or word. So if we just called it a virtual machine or virtual machine, we'd all be good to go. Like the word solution architect. What's that mean? Absolutely zero. A solution architect can be making subs at a sub shop because they're creating solutions. Solution architect can sell you your cell phone at the cell phone store. I've been to a carpet store where there was a solution architect. I've been to a tile store where there was a solution architect that was going to solutionize my flooring. A solution architect at Cisco discusses networking, if they're not, as a rule. A solution architect at NVIDIA discusses machine learning and data center technologies. You see where I'm coming from. The word like solution architect is kind of a meaningless term as well. So cloud infrastructure, cloud networking is often used interchangeably, but not always. Great question up and up. Chris, oh, sure. Sorry, I was trying to. Chris, let's go to the next question. Nelly, what are some realistic projects you can start to work on to gain cloud knowledge for the architect? What about freelancing or volunteering? So Nelly, I want to tell you exactly how dangerous a free volunteer cloud architect is. Having a person that doesn't understand system design, volunteers and does system design, and they do a design, one of us implement it, and you know what happens? Company goes bankrupt because there's that. So there are 0 architecture projects for those or volunteer projects that you can do in today's world as an architect. Years ago, you could, but not in today's world. So there's that. What are just realistic projects? Well, Nelly, I want you to think of what architects do. Architects design, present, and sell. So it's not like you can go set up a website like one of the certification providers will do and say, here, I got stuff on Git. And if you do that and show that, Nelly, it's going to show the world you're not a cloud architect and not to hire you. It's going to show that you're something else, like a systems admin, not a cloud architect. So what you need to do is as follows. You need to learn architecture. So I'll tell you what you need to learn. I'm going to tell you how to do it on your own or with us. Now, with us, it's going to be a single day's pay. If you do this on your own, and I will give you the lab and all those things that you need to do, understand on your own, it will cost you $10,000 to $50,000 to do this. But I'm going to tell you how to do it anyway, because I want to tell you how to do it. So this is not about saying, hey, I can configure a website. This is not a career of saying, I know how to code. Because it's not. We don't code. This is a career showing I know how to design, present, and sell. Say it with me. Design, present, and sell. So what goes into design? Now, when we look at the cloud, we look at what the cloud actually is. It's a network and a data center that's been virtualized. Now, Nelly, what does the cloud architect do? They take the systems that exist in the network and the data center, we lift them up, and we migrate them towards the cloud, which is another network and data center. So here's why most people don't get hired. They go take their certification course. They do these worthless labs, the name of a service and how to configure those services. And they don't understand how the services work, why they need them, and they know how to configure. Nelly, architects don't configure. Architects design. So certification training is literally speaking the most worthless training in the world for our architects. But we still need it because it gets us an interview. But what do you need to know to design? Because you're taking networking and data center stuff, migrating it, what you need to know is networking and data center. So I'm going to give you an explicit list. You need to know networking. At the bare minimum, this includes the following. You need to know BGP. Now, we teach BGP. You can read all the IETF RFCs for BGP. And you can also buy the Internet Routing Architectures book from Bassam Halabi. Together, that's about 1,000 pages of BGP knowledge, and that will give you the elemental BGP knowledge that you need for this job. Next thing on there, you're going to need to understand routing and interior gateway protocols. So I would, realistically speaking, learn at least minimum OSPF. Now, again, you can get it from the RFCs, from the Cisco documentation, from the Juniper documentation. Again, about 1,000 pages. On that, you're going to understand something on OSPF and interior gateway protocols. Now, you're going to need to be able to plan an IP addressing scheme. That means subnetting, supernetting, route aggregation, because you're going to have to traffic engineer your traffic. So you're going to need some serious knowledge there. You can't be using a subnet calculator. This is noodle work. You got to know how to plan it out and see the roadmap. Next, you're going to be dealing with switching and switching technology. So you must understand VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking. You must understand loop avoidance protocols such as spanning tree and rapid spanning tree. Again, you can get this 500 to 800 pages from Cisco. but you need to understand this because you can't design what you don't understand. Now, next, you're going to be setting up WAN connections, which means you need to know WAN technologies such as SSL-based VPNs, IPsec-based VPNs, serial lines, Ethernet private lines, Ethernet over MPLS, for example, software-defined networking, and SASE. These are the critical things that you need to know. Then you're going to be dealing with NAT because one company is going to buy another company. You're going to need NAT between them. And that's not NAT to the internet. That's another kind of NAT. You'll be dealing with NAT on your load balancers and NAT on your firewalls. And you need to understand the one-to-one NAT, the static NAT, the dynamic NAT or PAT, or the NAT overlay. You need to understand that as well. So there's that. Then on the networking side, we've got to understand, ARP and how that works, and proxy ARP and how that works. You probably need to understand some DNS and DHCP. Actually, you need to be familiar with looking on what's going on with traffic. So there's that, and et cetera, et cetera. Oh my God, I got some good news, which I can't wait to tell you about in a couple seconds, but I want to answer your questions first. Another cloud hired. Congratulations, Leonard, and I'll get back to you. Oh my God, I'm super happy, but I'll get back to you in a second. So after this, so now we talked about those networking things. Now remember, the cloud's a data center. So what do we need to do? On the data center side, you must understand servers and server or virtualization. So you can practice this, experience this, play with KVM, QEMU, VMware, ESXi, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Play with that. Now, again, you can get that documentation, 500,000 pages. All this stuff is covered in my course, by the way, all of it. It's going to be much better, faster, and cheaper. Guess this is what it takes. Now, after you're done with that, you need to understand containers and orchestration. So get that. Next, what else matters? Well, you need to understand storage, block storage, object storage, file storage, and when to use and how to deal with it and how to tune block storage performance because it's often not good enough. So how do we make it better with RAID and things like that? You need to know that. Then what kind of databases you're going to choose? When are you going to use a NoSQL versus an SQL database? What kind of databases are going to work in 2 or more clouds? You need to understand that. What kind of database do you use when you have heavy write traffic versus heavy read traffic? How to tune them. That you need to understand. Then, what do you need to understand as well? You need to understand business applications, such as ERP applications and CRM applications. There's that. Then you need to understand security, which means firewalls and next generation firewalls and VPN concentrators. Again, we teach all that, or you can get it from the manufacturer's website for a few thousand more pages. There's that. That's the technical components. Next, when you're done that, you need to learn how to do end-to-end system design. You need to learn executive communication skills, how to speak to a CEO, CFO, CIO, CTO, how to do ROI modeling to show the customer that the value of the solution is greater than its cost. You will need to learn how to write for executives as well as technology professionals. You will be doing presentations daily. So you're going to have to become an expert presenter, and you will have to present on the interview. Now, because you'll be on the sales side in most cases, you're going to be doing deal negotiation. You're going to have to learn negotiation skills. These are the skills of the cloud architect, and you need to prove that. So you can write thought leadership documents. You can write system design documents to show about an architecture that you can create to improve banking performance by lowering latency for algorithmic program trades, for example, or a new security strategy that you can improve to improve healthcare delivery for hospitals. That's the kind of stuff that cloud architects do. So that's the kind of stuff you do. Now, what kind of labs? Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. Remember, cloud architects don't touch the technology as a rule. So we don't touch the tech. A cloud architect doesn't use the management console. They don't use the CLI. They design. So there's that. Now, what kind of labs would be good for you? Well, if you're in our course, you're going to do real labs. Yeah, you'll do AWS labs, but nobody cares about them. You'll do Azure labs, but nobody cares about them either. But we do them just to get practice. We do labs that people care about. If you're with us, you use our systems. If you're not with us, you can buy a server. It's going to cost you about $2,000. The server needs to have at least 16 cores. It should be a Xeon server. It needs at least 128 gigs of RAM and at least 3 SSD drives in a RAID 0 configuration, at least. On this, set up some server virtualization, build some containers, build a firewall, build a VPN concentrator, set up NFS storage, set up SMB storage or Windows storage protocols, server message block, set up the Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP stack, design and work with Active Directory, and design and build your own cloud. Write about designing your own cloud. Write about setting up the storage. Write about setting up the networking. Write about setting up the cloud security, setting up the cloud load balancers. That's what a cloud architect does, and that's what you do. So free online tools to do labs. Yeah, you can do labs all day long, but that's not going to make anybody think you're an architect. Many people think you're an admin. And that's the problem, Nelly. People want to do labs and say, I'm an architect. But architects don't touch the tech. We design the tech. So if you're going to do labs, do network and data center labs, because that's what employers ask when you call them. They say, I don't want another certified person that knows how to configure the cloud. I want someone that understands the stuff I've got in my network and data center, and they know how to take the stuff to the cloud and improve my business. That's the architect's job. We are business consultants. We're not engineers. We are not techies. So, Nelly, I hope I've answered your question. I hope I've made it clear to you exactly what to do, and get yourself cloud hired. If you'd like to train with us, we'd love to train you. NGWE Leonard B. Quickie. Hello, Michael Gibbs et al. Thank you so much for your content. You're happy to announce that you're cloud hired, senior cloud engineer. NGWE, I am so excited. You have absolutely no idea. You have no idea how excited I am. When I get these messages every day, it's the best thing that happens to me. You can see I'm tearing already. I can't constrain it. It's the highlight of my life. When our students become cloud hired, it's everything to me. So I'm just so excited for you. NGWE Leonard, watch your life change now. Watch all the good things come to you. I'm so excited for you. I know I can't even begin to describe every single day. That's why I do this, to get everybody cloud hired. That's why Chris does this. I can tell you right now. That's why Alonzo's here. That's why Chal's here. That's why Leo's here. And every day when this happens, we all have a party. It happens every day, but still there. So please, let's congratulate NGWE Leonard B. Quickie. Let's congratulate him. He's a really fine man. He's a Cameroonian man from our last discussions, if I can remember. He's working really hard. He's building a career for himself. We've been working with him. He's come here. We are so excited for you, NGWE Leonard. I can't be more happy. You have no idea how excited I'm happy for you. So congratulations. I don't even know where to begin. I'm just so happy for you. And anybody else that wants to get cloud hired, like NGWE Leonard, please sign up for our Cloud Architect Career Development Program, our Cloud Engineer Career Development Program. And we'll get you cloud hired too. With our 30% off coupon code right now, it's a single day's pay. Come get cloud hired. But NGWE, and I'm sorry, it brings me to tears every time, even though it happens every day. I'm just so excited for you. Cloud hired, everybody. Let's give him another congratulations. Cloud hired. It's the celebration. It's the high point of my day. Cloud hired there. NGWE Leonard B. Quickie. Congratulations again. So happy. My earnings started out right. Woke up. My 5 hernia discs were flared up. Wasn't expecting this today to start out so well, but it's before 11 a.m. and I've already gotten one cloud hired, and I haven't spoken to my students today, and hopefully we get a couple more. Cloud hired. And Eddie Patrick, he's working on getting everybody cloud hired too. Eddie's over there in Cameroon. We're helping me get more people cloud hired. So congratulations, Lenny. He does rock. And we're so thrilled. NGWE Leonard, congratulations again. Doesn't get any better than this, folks. Cloud hired. Nate Robertson, what do you need to focus on if you want to get into cloud security? Nate Robertson, would you tell me what you'd like to do in cloud security? Because it's a completely different path if you want to do offensive security versus defensive security. And it's a completely different path if you want to do cloud security engineer or cloud security architecture. And I don't want to misguide you. So could you tell me exactly what you're looking for? And then I can guide you. And here's the thing, Nate. I want to be so specific because these careers, they're not like the certification providers would tell you. And that's why we're super successful at getting our people hired. And they're not. They would tell you, learn everything. And I'm going to tell you, you can't learn everything. It's not possible. What I'm going to tell you is, it's essential to be good at your job. So for example, if you wanted to be a cloud security architect, you would focus on system design. And what you'd be focused on is things like learning how to write a security policy, learning how to build a team of people that's going to do security audits. You'd be an expert at looking at what the current systems look like. Are they working? Are they not working, for example? You would be looking at things such as you'd be running around and seeing how employees are ready. Are they used to phishing? You'd be looking at the anti-malware strategy for the organization. You'd be looking at the organization's encryption strategy. You'd be looking at the organization's remote access strategy, for example, etc. You'd be looking at the design elements. Generally speaking, for a cloud security architect. Now, with the cloud security engineer, we got two kinds, and we made a video for you on this to help you. With security engineering, there's two kinds. There's defensive engineering, like me, and there's offensive engineering, which is called white hat hacking. Let's talk about the difference. The defensive security engineer protects the organization. So that person focuses on learning how to do firewall configuration, IAM configuration, identity and access management, or AAA authentication, authorization, accounting. Who are you? What can you do? Etc., etc. And what have you done? The cloud security engineer might be doing some training with the people that are there. Cloud security engineer will be locking down systems, patching systems. They'll be disabling unnecessary services. The cloud security engineer will be installing host-based firewalls and intrusion host-based IDS, IPS systems. The cloud engineer may be configuring security kind of concepts, setting up the encryption, playing with encryption keys, etc. So the architect is the design approach. The engineer is a hands-on approach. Now, this cloud engineer is going to need to know operating systems and operating system vulnerability. The cloud security engineer, they're going to understand weaknesses, etc., because that's going to be really critical stuff. Critical stuff. So there's that. Now, what's the other kind of cloud security person? Well, that's offensive security. This is the person that's called a white hat or an ethical hacker. This person gets paid to break into systems. So they need a different set of skills. This person needs to become an expert at social engineering. Hi, person at the front desk. You look so nice today. You know, I need to go to this person's desk and fix their computer. He's called me 62 times, and every time I come here, it's not here. Could you just give me his password and let me in? Social engineering. This person will become an expert, the offensive person, on the Kali Linux tools, for example. For example, what are we talking about? Hacking into systems. So this person needs to hack, etc., etc., etc. So there's that. Hacking. So then you got to know the operating system vulnerabilities and know how to do attacks, buffer overflow attacks, DDoS attacks, etc., because you're going to be launching them to see if the systems are resistant to it. You're going to then learn how other hacking tools. So this is a career about learning how to manipulate people, learning, because it's social engineering, learning how to break into systems. And they're basically your three different types of careers that you have, that you can possibly do. So if you can kind of focus on those three things, then you can determine which one. Since you didn't tell me which one you were looking for, you've got the architect, which is the design, present, and sell side of this, the cloud engineer, who's the builder, and the offensive cloud security engineer, who's the hacker. We need all three to make the systems work. It's a great question you had, Nate. I didn't get an answer from you, so I hope you get to watch the replay and see all three answers. And there's a video we posted on this because I think it's important to know as well, where we even talk about certifications, etc. as well. So please see that video. My team just posted it. NGW Leonard. Yes, we got to speak on multiple times. I'm pretty sure you took our training program as well. Chris, you're trying to tell me something, but you're muted.
He did the YouTube interview session with us.
Absolutely. Well, that's why we do these interviews too.
Yeah.
Tell people if they're ready and to show people how to interview to get hired. It's all about getting cloud hired. Otherwise, we wouldn't do any of it. Super excited for you, NGW Leonard. Fantastic. Des is a cloud architect. How often would you use the management console or CLI? Des, it's been 25 years as an architect, and I haven't configured anything once. That's not what architects do. Architects design, present, and sell. Engineers configure, admins configure, but not architects. We don't touch the tech. We design it, present it, and sell it as a rule. So, there's kind of that. Architects don't, and that's where the thing is. You got to look at it this way. And here's why we can't configure. So, Des, go outside tonight. Look at the big sky. Just look at it. Look at the sun, the moon, the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, all the pretty stars. Maybe you'll see the clouds. Look at the whole sky. That's our job as the architect, to optimize the sky, the big picture. Now, Des, now let's pretend. And tonight, take out a telescope and zoom into the moon, or a set of binoculars, or a telephoto lens that's really big. What are you going to see? You'll see the moon. You'll see the craters on the moon. You'll see the glow. You'll see some grayness. It's going to be beautiful. But what won't you see anymore? The sky. And that's the thing. When an architect decides to start configuring something, they have to zoom in on that one thing and they lose focus on the big picture. And that's when all the mistakes are made. So architects can't afford to touch the technology. Now, Des, there's these engineers that think you got to be real technical to be an architect. And you should have, and you do need to know how to design the systems, which is a very technical thing. Not hands-on technical, but noodlework technical. That's a different technical. But let's really think about it. If I had two people, and I have an architect buddy, hugely successful, knows zero about tech. He was one of the most successful architects I've ever seen. And I want you to think, I'm gonna exacerbate the problem as an exaggeration. Thus, right now I've got an architect. The architect code, fresh out of an MBA, doesn't know cloud, doesn't know networking, doesn't know data center, doesn't know anything. But this person's got extremely good business acumen skills, extremely good leadership skills, can sell. Now, this person who knows absolutely zero is charismatic, charming, and meets with a client, and the client says, I want this, 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 and this. And this person that knows nothing about tech gets those requirements good, goes back to his company, goes to his manager and says, I need help. And his manager says, what do you need? And he says, I need 50 cloud engineers, architects, and others. And this person who knows absolutely zero gets a cloud network engineer with 20 years experience. He gets 3 of them. He gets 3 cloud security engineers with 30 years security experience. He gets 10 application architects with 20 years experience each. Then he gets 10 database administrators with 20 years experience each, a couple of data scientists, a bunch of DevOps engineers, a bunch of software developers, a bunch of cloud engineers, network engineers, you name it, they bring it all in. And you got a person that knows nothing about the tech. This person now leads a team of all these people. And together the team has 500 years of experience. This person with zero technical background with business that works with that team may design the world's greatest solution. Now, compare that, Des, to someone that's an expert engineer. I know networking, I know security, I know cloud, I know databases. Well, when somebody knows that, they really know nothing because they spread their load and learn so many things. The effectiveness of what their knowledge is really nothing about anything. Now, this person decides to do it on their own because they're techie. So I got one jack of all trades with 20 years experience, or one guy that knows nothing that's got a team with 500 years experience. Des, which outcome do you think is going to be better? The one guy that's never worked in tech before is going to be better than the super smart engineer. So Des, that's why this is a leadership job. And that's why, yes, you do need to be technical, because if you're technical, you understand it much better and you can lead the team. But we don't touch the tech. We lead the team. So the key is to get the to get the business requirements, translate those business requirements to the technical requirements, go back to your company and go build the team on demand for the architecture, design it together, present it, and sell it. And then once the sale is done, we are gone. We're in an airplane to another customer and go sell another solution. And it's the team that we built that's going to deploy it. So yes, we train our people to be all the leadership skills, business acumen, executive presence to do the job, but also the tech skills. I'm just showing you that it would be better to have no tech skills and good leadership and communication skills than it would be to have a one-man band that thought they could do it all on their own. So I hope that helps you understand the architect role a little different. It can't be too techy, and we can't configure. Because the second we configure, we can't manage the team. We can't lead the team, and we can't see the big picture. We must see the big picture. Must see the big picture. Must. So that's the reason why. We can't afford to do it. So no, for the most part, cloud architects don't touch the tech. Now, there are some cloud engineering jobs masquerading as architect jobs, but they pay engineering salaries, not architect salaries. And they're really engineering jobs. Hope I answered your question there, because I have not used the management console in 25 years, or CLI, ever since I left being a network engineer. Up and up, you don't work in tech before. You look forward to getting your first cloud architect graduating from your program. Besides applying for big companies like AWS, Azure, where else can you apply? Up and up, if you're a student in our program, you know that we tell you not to apply for these jobs. Because if you do, except for AWS, they'll just reject you. Up and up, when you're in our program, you'll do what the rest of our students do. We build them special profiles, etc. And people come to them every single day. And when somebody comes to you for a job, you don't have to apply for it. And because you don't have to apply for it, what happens is you don't have to go through HR, and HR can't auto-reject you. So then you get to the hiring manager instead of HR, which is the job killer when you don't have experience. And then the hiring manager can look at you and say, I like you, I'm going to hire you. And that's really the thing. When it comes to the interview, and that's why we're so successful getting our people hired, most people think it's a technical interview. Well, here's the thing. With all interviews, 50% of the interview score is based upon your job competency. And so the architect is their technical ability. But the other 50% is based on the other cool stuff. The other cool stuff is this: your soft skills, your business acumen, your emotional intelligence, your executive presence, your leadership skills, your sales skills, your CXO relevancy, your negotiation skills, your attitude, energy, enthusiasm, presence. So we want you to get interviews with the hiring manager, not auto-rejected by HR. And then you'll get there. Now, what other companies hire cloud architects? Well, this week, one of my students got hired by a global bank as a cloud architect. Early 20s, no experience other than the training we've given him, and a great, incredibly smart, wonderful, capable, fine young man, which you'll hear from soon. And Big Four consulting companies hire our cloud architects. Big banks hire our cloud architects. Big retailers hire cloud architects. Everybody needs a cloud architect. Because here's the thing. If you're Walmart, you're probably going to be using the cloud. Now, if I just go to AWS or Azure or Google, look, they're all good people, but they work for a company, and the architects there design, present, and sell their solutions. So most companies have their own architects to work with the vendors' architects. So that way they don't get put into a situation where it's like, here, recode and be a cloud native thing where you can't get off of our cloud. Those architects will make sure that they're on more cloud agnostic things. 2 to 3 cloud, etc., etc. 2 to 3 clouds, for example, or maybe, which business applications not using proprietary databases like DynamoDB because they don't work across multiple clouds. Being able to be the person that has the intelligence to think and say, wait, I need a NoSQL database. I need a high availability situation. My write traffic is greater than my read traffic. Therefore, the best solution across my clouds will be Apache Cassandra. Oh, wait, I have near unlimited scalability of unstructured data, but I've got a lot more read traffic. Hey, wait, I should use MongoDB. So these are the kind of things that you need to know with the architect, and the customers will have them themselves too. So any retailer will hire a cloud architect. Any oil company will hire a cloud architect. Any TV station that's big enough will have a cloud architect. All the big sporting events will need their cloud architect. All the airlines need cloud architects. So everybody needs cloud architects. Everybody. All the big businesses need cloud architects. So you can work with the cloud providers, but AWS has a cloud, Cisco has a cloud, Dell has a cloud, Palo Alto has a cloud. Everybody's got a cloud. Verizon has a cloud. Phone companies all have their own cloud. And most companies are also building their own clouds. Nutanix cloud and OpenStack clouds. Maybe answer to one or two. Using a team of other employees, you want to switch to cloud architect, but you're skeptical. You say you'll prepare me to be job ready from day one. Well, Zama, I can't deal with your skepticism. That's on you. What I can tell you is this. We get people cloud hired every single day that have no background and no experience. I got 7 of them hired the last week. And guess what? Only 3 of them ever worked in tech before in their life, and they're all working as cloud architects. So there's a reason we're doing it. We're teaching people exactly what the job market wants, exactly what the employers want. We don't just think, we know. How do I know? Well, I spent a lifetime. I've asked thousands of recruiters what they want in a perfect employee. I've asked thousands of hiring managers what they want in a perfect employee. I've done thousands of interviews. So I know exactly what hiring managers want. Exactly. And I got to give you a question that I would like you to think about this. When you go to the store to buy something, what do? You buy what you like. So because we've done such extensive research, knowing exactly what the hiring managers are looking for, and we prepare our students exactly what the hiring managers are looking for, that's why our success rate is sky high. I think we've gotten about 100 people cloud architect jobs in the last year, most of which never worked in tech in their lives. I think that's about the number. I can't keep track of it because every day somebody's got a cloud hired. If we're dealing between Friday and now, we're upwards of 8 students right now. 8 people that we interacted with that we just got hired. So, there's that. So, since Friday of last week. So, in our world, we don't worry about that. We just get people hired. But I will say this, you have to believe in yourself to get hired. You have to have the confidence. When I got told 25 years ago, and I was practicing medicine, that I couldn't be a network engineer, I had to get a help desk job, and I'm, no way, or a cloud admin job, and I was like, no way. Not that there's anything wrong with those jobs, but I didn't want those jobs. I wanted to be a network engineer. And I told people, I'm going to be a network engineer, and they said, you can't. I said, why can't I? And they said, Mike, you've got no degrees in tech, no experience in tech. You got to start at the bottom, like help desk or cloud or network admin. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start as a professional. They all told me I was crazy. Everybody told me I was crazy. So I go on my first job interview a couple months later, 6 months later, from the time I decided to start working in tech. I interview with a guy named Devendra. He interviews me and he says, Mike, I interviewed to be a senior network engineer, but you're better than that. A network engineer, but you're better than that. I'm going to make you a senior network engineer. I told the recruiter after the interview that was going to happen. The recruiter laughed at me. And he said, there's no way that you went from network engineer to senior engineer with no experience. I said, I did. You're going to hear from Devendra really soon. The recruiter was so angry at me, he hung up the phone and left. 15 minutes later, the recruiter called me up. His name was Drago. He's like, Mike, I need to offer a massive apology to you. He said, I don't know what you said or did on the interview, but you went in there asking for one salary. They paying you 30% more than the salary you wanted. You went in there as a network engineer, and now they're hiring you as a senior network engineer. By the way, 6 months later, I was the lead architect, the biggest team in the world's biggest largest service provider. But what did I do differently? Well, I did the following. When everybody else was learning how to become a jack of all trades, little Windows, little Linux, little this, what did I learn? Only one thing. And I learned it really well. I knew that hiring managers wanted soft skills and leadership skills and communication skills and emotional intelligence. So I trained it when everybody else was focused on their next certification. When I went on that interview and I had spoken to 50 recruiters that I had interviewed and found out what they wanted in that perfect employee, and I went in there on my first interview, poof, I was network hired. And you know what? They wanted 10 years experience and I had zero, big giant zero. They wanted 10 years experience for the network engineer and I got the senior network engineer. Now, 6 months later, I had an opportunity to work on Wall Street as a lead network architect for the largest market maker, which doubled my salary. And I took it. You know how much experience I had? They wanted then? 15 years. You know how much experience I had? 6 months. So Employers want competency, competency, competency. Competency and experience are not the same thing, but they also want attitude, energy, enthusiasm, emotional intelligence, leadership skills. That's what they want. That's why we're super successful at getting people hired. So if you'd like us to help, so let me answer this next question. Any similarity between cloud security architects and cloud security engineers? No, there is zero similarity between architects and engineers. Zero. Cloud security, design, present, and sell, architect. Cloud security engineer, build, configure, configure, configure. So they're not even related. When I've got people with an engineering background, I've got to teach them how to unlearn how to be an engineer to be an architect. And you know what? That's pretty tough. Why is it tough? Because the engineers are hands-on. You've got to teach people to step back and think differently. Likewise, when I've got a medical person like me, they already have a lot of the design skills from the practice of medicine, the way we learn it. They've got a lot of the sales skills because we're forced to force people into taking medications to save their lives that they may not want to take. Got leadership skills for the same reason. We're managing large teams at the hospital. We're very emotionally intelligent because we have to tell somebody, I'm sorry that you're dying. Or we are emotionally intelligent because I have to say to somebody, look, you're 300 pounds overweight. You smoke, you drink. And if we don't modify these lifestyle changes, you won't make it past 40. Therefore, what I need you to do is X, Y, and Z to stay healthy. Those things make healthcare people transition very easily. But no, there's almost no similarity between architecture and engineering. I'd like you to think about it like this, Don. Think about a building architect that goes and designs the building. They make blueprints. The building's going to be 1,000 meters tall. It's going to have these big, beautiful waterfalls. It's going to have a lush garden that's going to be filled with goldfish. Then there's going to be a cat cafe that's going to be filled with beautiful cats that are going to come over. They design the concept. Now then, the architect that designs the building does not hammer the nails in, use the saw, the drill. They don't do that. They're not the construction crew. The cloud engineers are our genius construction crew. They're smart people. Cloud security engineers are smart people. They build it. Architects design it. So these jobs are exact opposites from each other. Exact opposites from each other. That's why these jobs are so different. So engineering skills do not build your architect career. Architecture skills do not build your engineering career. It's that. That's the biggest issue. NGWE, you're from a banking background, so you started your cloud journey 8 months ago and you're now cloud hired. It's about learning the right things, receiving the right information, assimilating the right information, and having the right attitude. If you believe you can do it, you can do it. My students that believe they can do it every day. And when a student calls me and says, hey, Mike, I don't think I can do it. Should I take your course? I say, no. And they say, what? You don't want me to sell me the course? I said, you don't believe in you. I said, and if you don't believe in you, how's the hiring manager going to believe in you when you go interview with them? I said, no, if you want to get hired and you want to do our work and you believe in yourself, yeah, we'll get you cloud hired as long as you do the work, but you have to believe in you. And that's the thing. And Jimmy Leonard, be quickie. That's what separates the people that win from the people that don't even try. You can't hit a home run if you don't go to bat. And if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to miss the ball because you're going to psych yourself out. Look, I'm a competitive martial artist. Now, before a match, people stare each other in the eye. They look mean. They're trying to mess the person's psyche. Once your psyche's gone, your heart rate goes up and you're nervous. A punch comes in and you don't see how to block it and you get hit. So plan your thing. You can all do it. There's no one that can't achieve anything that they don't want. What separates the winners from the non-winners? Winners fight to win. They play to win. They don't quit until they win. I got to say, win, win, win. In my life, I got told lots of things. I got told, no, you can't go from medicine to networking. And I did it 6 months later because I believed in myself. Now, I got to tell you, I was involved in a massive martial arts accident and training in Israel about a decade ago, maybe 11 years ago. It's horrible. I couldn't walk for 8 years. Every time I went to a doctor, and I went to 13 of them in the first few months, Mike, it's only going to get worse. You'll be in a wheelchair, and we can give you a morphine pump to contain the pain. And I said, no. 13 physicians said, this is what's going to happen to you. And I said, no. Now, what did I do? 8 hours a day of physical therapy for 8 years. What do I do now just to be able to get down the stairs of my house in the morning? I practice 90 minutes of yoga in a 130-degree room. I had to spend about 10 grand on special heating systems in a room to be able to do it. When I'm done my 90 minutes in this 130-degree room, I jump into a 160-degree sauna for 45 more minutes to calm the pain down, open up the blood vessels. I do this, literally speaking, 7 days a week just to be able to live. But those doctors told me I'd never walk again. I'd never sit in a chair again or work again. Hey, wait. My students are getting cloud hired every day because I believed in me. And when people told me no, I said yes. So just like NGW Leonard, he believed in himself and now he's cloud hired. All of you can get cloud hired. All of you. All of you. All you really need to do is the following thing. Eat right, think right, train right. Okay, eat right. Why? This is my martial arts coach said. If you eat right, you'll be healthy. If you eat right, you'll feel good, you'll have mental clarity, and you'll take care of your health. If you think right, you'll believe in yourself, you will learn to get information from the right leaders. You will ask people that have had the job for 25 years what they've done. And then when all your peers that don't have the job tell you can't do it, you're going to basically say, bye, you don't know the job anyway. So then there's that. And then train right. Why? If you train right, you'll be able to get any job you want. You'll be prepared with the right skills. You'll have the right capabilities. You'll get hired, promoted, and when others are struggling in their career, your career will be like this. That's what it takes to build your best cloud architect career, your best cloud engineering career, your best tech career. Go out there and get cloud hired. You can do it easily. Go out there and get cloud hired. You can do it on your own. We told you what to do. Now, doing it on your own will take a long time and it gets expensive, but we told you how to do it. You can do it with our course. With right now, with the 30% off discount that we're giving you to help maximize your potential in a bad economy, to be a solution provider for you, guess what? We can do that. And you can get cloud hired for a single day's pay. We'll get you hired better, faster, and cheaper than any other way. And guess what? I'm going to teach you a business executive concept. It's called opportunity cost. Here's what I mean by this. If you do our course, chances are you'll be hired within 8 months, like the most of our students. If you do it on your own, it might take you 2 to 3 years. But you'll still get hired. We're going to tell you how to do it either way because I just want you to get hired. I don't care. I want you hired. But if the average cloud architect earns $12,000 a month and a good one earns $24,000 a month, and we can get you hired 6 months earlier on your own than you could on your own, that's $72,000 value for a $700 course. Now, what most people don't realize is that individuals that train soft skills earn approximately 30% more than those who don't. So that can be an extra $60,000 a year, and we train you in those skills. People that train their emotional intelligence also tend to typically earn about $30,000 more per year than their peers. So by training those things, that could be an extra $90,000 per year, which is $2.7 million over a long-term career. So eat right, think right, and train right. Chris, I may be able to take one more question today.
Okay, this one's going to be multiple things on the screen.
Okay. Hey, Mike, got a question. Last week you said there wasn't enough time and you couldn't answer the second part I asked. Okay. If you want to end up Microsoft, it's just a sort of waste of time. Do you need more of what on what specialty? So I said, no real specialty, just a cloud architect who designs, executive design, present, and smell schmooze clients. Is Microsoft a bad goal? Should I be thinking about big banks? Jay Don, I don't know why you're asking me about Microsoft. If you want to become a cloud architect, you become a cloud architect. You can't, on your first job, just pick a company and say, yeah, this is the place I'm going to work. You have to get the right skills. Networking skills are critical in all clouds. It doesn't matter if it's Microsoft, Azure, or AWS, because the cloud is nothing more than a network and a data center, and they're all identical. So I would develop these skills and not limit myself to one company. Is Microsoft in my top 10 favorite companies in the world? It sure is. Is it in my top 5 favorites? It sure is. Is it in my top 3 favorites? It sure is. It is. But it's your first cloud architect job. And trying to say you're going to be getting it at one company, in my mind, is ridiculous. You should build the right portfolio. Design, present, and sell. And whether you end up at AWS, JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, ExxonMobil, Deloitte, KPMG, Bearing Point, Accenture, or Google, or one of 10,000 other companies, that should be your goal. Get yourself a good cloud architect job, the first one, wherever that is. And they all want the same thing. Someone with network and data center design skills, cloud design skills, business acumen, leadership, sales skills, emotional intelligence, executive presence. It's the same skills. One company is not different than another. And if you walked into their data centers, you wouldn't even know whether you're in an Azure data center, Google data center, or AWS data center unless you saw the badges on the people, because they're so similar. So I love Microsoft, but assuming that you're going to limit yourself down to 2% of all the jobs on your first cloud architect job, I don't think is a good plan. So I want to have all the opportunity for my first job, all of it. Now, if you had 25 years experience like me, and you were saying, hey, Microsoft, my goal, then there'd be something that we put on your thing. But no, I don't recommend picking just one company as a goal. It wouldn't be AWS, wouldn't be Azure, wouldn't be Google. I'd say learn the cloud and see where you go. Maybe Microsoft decides to do a layoff, but AWS is growing. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I never put all my eggs in one basket. You hear me saying never single cloud, always multi-cloud, always a diversified portfolio. Same reason. So what I really think is you have to figure out what you want to do. And those things are the identical things in every single cloud or customer. So it's a doctor. Okay, you train a doctor in cardiology. If they work at New York Presbyterian, the Cleveland Clinic, University of Pennsylvania, Duke University Medical Center, they do the same job. Hope I answered your question. I'm going to get to one last question. Tommy Suitable. Is it suitable you're not from the United States? None of us are. Cloud hire opportunities and knowledge. And if so, yes. Does it work if I go for the 9-line programs? And what else do the students learn after? Tommy, I have lots of students outside the U.S. I've got students in Cameroon. I've got students in Nigeria. I've got students in Benin. I've got students in India, Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, South Africa, Pakistan, everywhere. South America, Canada, all over Europe. And yes, they get hired. And it doesn't matter whether they do the live version or the non-live version. We get people hired. That's our job, because cloud architects do the same thing. So yes, our program's suitable if you're not from the United States. It doesn't matter where you're from. And because it says not from the United States, I don't know whether you're like me, where you were born in Greece, for example, or there. We've even got students in the Netherlands. So we've got students everywhere. And Denmark and all kinds of places. So the point is, it doesn't matter where you live. We want to help you get hired. We want to help build your career. We want to do it better, faster, and cheaper than anybody else in the world. That's our goal, to be the best. Get you hired fastest and cost you the least of anybody in the world. That's our mission. Build your career. Make everybody get the most elite cloud computing careers. So hope you had a great time today. Hope you join us for the free Azure Solution Architect Bootcamp. Hope you join us for the free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar live on Zoom, where you can ask questions live. And I seriously hope you take advantage of our 30% sale so we can help you get cloud hired and you can build the best cloud computing career of your life and love your life. So hope you have a really great time. Hope you had a good time today, and I'll be back on Monday to answer my questions you may have. Take care, everybody.